Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. From banking to healthcare access, people are continuing to increase their reliance on technology for digital identification in everyday life. COVID-19 expedited this transformation, and as consumers spend more time online, expectations for digital experience continue to increase. Joining me to discuss is Eric Haller, Executive Vice President and General Manager of Identity, Fraud, and DataLabs at Experian. Eric, it's great to see you again. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
Thanks, Joe. It's good to be back.
Did COVID-19 propel the rise in digital transactions, or were some of these trends in place prior to the pandemic?
Well, in 2019, 1 in 10 retail transactions were already online. So people were enjoying the value proposition of price comparison, convenient delivery to their homes, and shopping anytime, day or night. But in 2020, the risk associated with going in a face-to-face environment was higher than the risk of conducting business online. So we had a whole new group of people exposed and moving over to online world. In fact, in 2020, 1 in 7 retail transactions were done online.
Why is it critical to be able to identify people no matter where they are or what device they're using?
Well, in an online environment, the liability associated with one party not being who they say they are falls on the business. And in this case, in an online environment, fraudsters can come up with a variety of ways to simulate a device or simulate the identity of an individual. So it's up to the business itself to do that vetting during the process of conducting a transaction, so that at the end, when they ship their good or service, they're not seeing a chargeback or basically the money taken back from them after the transaction's taken place.
Well, Eric, I guess the question is, how do you balance safety and convenience?
So, at Experian, we conduct what we call the Global Insights Report. Twice a year, we interview consumers and businesses in 10 countries. And what we learned in this past survey was that 60% of all consumers are raising their expectations around that customer experience online. And 74% of those consumers are saying security has to be the #1 priority for business. So you've got this challenge between, I want this environment to be as easy and convenient as possible, but at the same time, I want that vetting or validation to be done. And that's where companies like Experian actually help businesses drive that challenge between the two by pulling in all sorts of information, having the infrastructure or software in place to leverage it, so that you don't have to bother the consumer by asking them a lot of questions or putting them through a lot of gates to get a transaction to occur. It all happens seamlessly, smoothly, and so we're reducing risk without disrupting the experience.
And I mentioned at the top that the healthcare system is taking advantage of today's digital environment. How so?
Well, it's certainly very similar drivers to e-commerce, where the physical risk of going into a doctor's office is driving people to interact with their provider from home. Experian is a fantastic vantage point in this, in that we're already integrated with over 3,400 hospitals, 7,300 healthcare organizations, about 60% of the market. And what we're seeing is that activity that's taking place between a patient and the doctor is happening online or over your mobile device. And so that insurance verification, that digital identity verification, is all happening behind the scenes. In fact, in this last year, Experian's validated almost 1 billion identities through the online process in the healthcare space.
And to wrap up here, do you believe this drive to further digitization will remain in place throughout 2021?
Absolutely, for a couple of reasons. One, demographically, Forbes came out recently and said 31% of the global population this year are Gen Zers. So we're seeing, that the folks that like to conduct business online are even a greater percentage of the demographic pie. And it's good business. The more business you conduct online, the better chance you have at higher margins and greater revenues. The thing is, you have to get that infrastructure right. You have to be able to manage risk that environment right, to make sure that you are protecting yourself while providing the best customer experience that you can.
And Eric, that's a great point that you bring up with Gen Z. They've never known anything else but the digital experience. So it seems as if it's just going to continue to evolve as different demographics phase out.
Absolutely, both in the e-commerce environment and in the healthcare environment. So you're seeing, in healthcare, that's an environment that hasn't really changed much in a long time. But with the COVID-19 and the trends that we're seeing, the Gen Zers are actually getting what they want in the doctor's office or at home, simulating the doctor's office.
All right. Appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us as always. And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you.